Today on Pull Start Stables, I'm going to try not to catch myself on fire. I think we need to have a little bit of a section view of what's going on inside our waste oil tank. That is a perfect cylinder, if you will. And side view, we have an 1.5 inch tube coming down to the bottom. And we have air coming up. And we have a plate welded about right here on some stands. Okay? We have holes through this tube, and on the top of the tube there's a washer welded on with a hole, 3/8 inch hole. And that hole gets plugged in a minute. And then there is a brake rotor. And this brake rotor's job is to hold the fire, hold the oil, and I have a plate welded into the bottom of it. It's welded in here pretty well. And then I also have a ring welded around the inside. So as oil drips down, it doesn't spill down below the rotor. The holes are welded shut in the brake rotor, and I used some nuts to just orient the position on top of the stands that are welded in. But they also don't allow any oil to go down below. Okay, so there's that. That's my burner assembly. I have a fan. It's blowing air down here, blowing air out, and I am hoping that air circulates in here, making combustion with the oil that drips down. My oil is coming in here through a 3/8 inch tube, about like that, and it drips 4 inches higher than my rotor stack. And then there's a plate on top. This plate has a funnel shape to it, I guess. So if any oil were to drip or splatter away, it should fall down. Now, on top of this washer, I have a plate that has fins, I guess, and that is supposed to help circulate air and spin the air. And then I also, so here's this plate, it's got the little fins, we'll say that, and then I welded a big dome on top of it. And so it's, as oil drips down here, it can kind of go any way it wants along that dome. It's also like an umbrella, so oil has to go farther away than that inside tube. Within reason, this is my entire waste oil setup. It's been working well. I've played with 2 different blowers, one with a lot of little tiny fan blades for like a computer CPU, and then one with only 5 blades that grabs a lot of air. This spins fast and moves quite a bit of air, but doesn't really build any pressure. This grabs a ton of air and should be able to build more pressure because it's like horsepower and torque. This is where we get the grunt, and we get move stuff when we have a lot of back pressure from sharp bends and little holes. That was my whole mindset here. And then I have welded in a big 4-inch tube on the side here, and it kind of comes in and it's on the back. But we have a 4-inch tube with a damper plate. So on the top, I have this plate that I can move, rotate to allow more or less air in. I keep this shut while I'm lighting the fire because I don't want anything to draft from, it's like right in line with this fire pretty much. I don't want anything to draft right up this tube. instead of going up my 4-inch flue. So this is 1.5 inches. This is 4 inches, and this is 4 inches. This definitely helped with some of my combustion issues. I was sooting up really bad, and I'm only dripping like a 1/4 gallon, maybe a 1/2 gallon per hour, but pretty much it's closer to a 1/4 gallon. Maybe we could even say 1/3 gallon max. And this helps with some of the combustion issues, but I can smell the dirty combustion. I also, once in a while, instead of flames coming out here, have flames just kind of trickling up, and there's 4 inches between here and here. But every once in a while, if I don't drip enough oil, the residual oil here is burning, or I have fire just here and not coming out. I need to change that. I also need to make sure that this oil is kind of dripping with force. So, what do we do? I think what I want to do is eliminate the blower on this. Maybe even have a damper or a cap on this eventually, or have a cap that's removable once the flame is lit. I also think I need a new tube to come in here for my blower. I'll have my blower up here. New tube to come in here somewhere, and when I weld it in, I'll drill a hole in the top of this elbow, and my oil will come in here. It's a lot of work. Hopefully this kind of explains what's going on in my project, and now it's time to get some work done and make this become a reality. I do believe that with the downforce, it's going to help to shoot the fire out and keep it more uniform. I think this is just working too hard, but once we get fire going, this might help to open it up, similar to this damper, and help with a little bit more combustion here. Oh, one other thing, also in this tube, as it's coming in, oh, it does come in here too, not below the tank. As it's coming in, I have about right here, just 2 1/4-inch holes drilled straight through the pipe. And that was also just to help kind of, if any oil does drip down in here and become fired up, this gives it a little bit more air just to burn off and quit. So I have cut this support out. I now have a severed tube for my oil supply and maybe a little bit of cleanup work to do. If I have not mentioned, I love my new Cut 50 plasma cutter. I did this on 2 passes, one from each side, but there were a couple spots where it made all the way through that rotor. This was freehand, mind you. I'm gonna just do a little cut on the back side of that at a bevel and knock it with that hammer. It'll fall right off. So there is my hopefully new blower tube and oil drip. You can see my pencil mark down there. That was my desired stack up height of this based on my oil location. So I hit the mark pretty good. I'm going to see if I can remove this and then if I can build this stack up inside. So I still have one rotor to go if I choose to, but I can get everything assembled. It's a little tight, but that's all right. And now I need to tack it, measure it, tack it, measure it, etc. I do believe I'm going to like that a whole lot better. So there we have our complete stack up. We're a little bit offset, but I think it'll be all right. I'm centering the rotor stack on this pipe instead of that diffuser down in the bottom, but I think it's going to work out all right. I just dumped a paint cap full of diesel fuel down the tube, and seems like it's flowing all right. I have some paper stuffed down in there. I'm going to let it all soak for a little bit and fire it up. And there we have it, a twin turbo or compound blower waste oil heater. I just ran out of oil, so my fire's going out. Let's see how red hot stuff is. Oh yeah, I'm getting there. So I think that's 1,050. That's above 1,100. I trimmed this up briefly and stuck it in that door, and my smoke problems kind of went away. I'm just cooling it down. Oh, this is awesome.